On March 16, 2026, Eala became the highest-ranked Filipino tennis player in WTA history, world number 29, a milestone 30 years in the making for Philippine tennis. 17 days later, she lost 270 ranking points in a single afternoon. Today, she is number 44. Roland Garros opens in 39 days, and the gap between where she is and where she needs to be is exactly 165 points. The difference between a quarterfinal and a round of 16 at a WTA 1000. This is not a story about whether Eala is good enough. This is a story about the mathematics of a calendar that does not care how historic your peak was. Here is what the WTA ranking system actually does, and why it's working against Eala right now. Rankings are not cumulative. They are a rolling 52-week window. Every point you earn expires exactly 1 year after you earn it, and it gets replaced by whatever you score at that same event the next year. Last year, Eala made the semifinals of the Miami Open, a WTA 1000 event worth 390 points. This year, she lost in the round of 16. That earned 120 points. The net result, minus 270 points in a single tournament. The climb to number 29 took her 3 months. The fall to number 44 took 3 weeks. And this is the structural reality every developing player faces when they have a breakout run they cannot immediately replicate. The question now is not whether the fall was painful. The question is whether the clay swing ahead can stop the bleeding before May 24. Before we map what Eala needs to do, we have to map what she walked into this clay season. At Linz, her round of 16 opponent was Jelena Ostapenko, the 2017 French Open champion, ranked number 23 in the world, and a player Eala had beaten twice in 2025. Eala led 5-1 in the second set. Ostapenko won 6 straight games to close out the match, firing 41 winners to Eala's 9. Firepower. Pure, unfiltered clay season firepower that Eala simply could not match once the Latvian found her range. Then at Stuttgart, the draw handed her Leylah Fernandez, number 25, former U.S. Open finalist, 5 WTA titles, a left-handed baseline game that mirrors Eala's own toolkit. The result was 1-6. 4-6. Not a match decided by 1 or 2 moments. A match decided by 42 percentage points in first-serve winners, 1. For any neutral tennis analyst watching this clay season begin, the data is clear. When Eala faces structured ball striking from the right side of the ranking sheet, her first strike offense is currently not sharp enough on clay to disrupt that rhythm before it costs her the match. Now here is what the fan channels will not tell you. Eala's career WTA record on clay is 4 wins and 6 losses. A 40% win rate. On hard courts over the last 52 weeks, she runs at 55%. The surface gap is real, it is documented, and it has not closed yet. More specifically, the pattern is not that she loses on clay, it's how she loses. In both the Ostapenko and Fernandez matches, Eala built leads, then watched her first serve percentage drop at the worst possible moment. When that happens on clay, there is no cover. Clay slows the ball. It gives the opponent time to reset. It rewards players who generate pace from the ground rather than through the serve. Eala's game is built on flat, aggressive ball striking off both wings. Against top 30 players on clay, that game requires a level of first serve support she has not yet consistently delivered. There is also a separate documented issue. ESPN has tracked Eala at 0 wins and 11 losses all-time against Czech players, against hard-hitting, disciplined ball strikers. The profile that fits Muchova. Eala has not yet found the answer. Bring all of that into what is about to happen in the next 39 days. The Filipinos watching Eala are not a fan base. They are a migration story watching itself get represented in real time. Over 10 million Filipinos live outside the Philippines. The diaspora communities in the United States, Canada, the Middle East, Europe, and Southeast Asia follow her matches at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and 5 a.m. local time. When she beat world number 8, Jasmine Paolini in Dubai this February, the video of Filipino fans erupting in overseas watch parties circulated across platforms for 72 hours. The inaugural Philippine Women's Open this January drew packed stands in Manila, an event Eala herself called such a big thing for women's tennis in the Philippines. That tournament existed, in part because of what Eala's rise made possible. The clay season into Roland Garros is not just a ranking exercise for this community. It is the first time a Filipino woman has ever entered the French Open ranked inside the top 50 with a genuine chance of making noise on the world's biggest clay stage. Now zoom out entirely from the Philippines. Here is why the rest of the tennis world should be watching this points math. Eala is 20 years old. Her career high of number 29 was reached in just her second full year on tour. For context, Emma Raducanu, the last comparable young player to generate this level of rapid ranking ascent, was ranked number 23 at her peak in 2022 on a points load built entirely around her US Open title. Eala's number 29 was built on consistency. 5 quarterfinals or better across different surfaces, different draw positions, against opponents ranked inside the top 30. That is a different and more sustainable profile. The White Oz player development curve typically shows a player's first legitimate clay breakthrough happening in the second or third year of top 50 tennis. Eala is in the first months of that window. What happens in Madrid and Rome will not define her career, but it will tell us whether her game is ready to compete with top 30 players on the surface that will determine Grand Slam trajectories. Because every player who has won Roland Garros in the last decade has first had to prove they could survive the clay 1000s. This is that test. If you care about watching a player's game being built in real time, not just the highlight packages, but the actual tactical development, this channel breaks it down every week. Subscribe now. The Madrid Open starts in 6 days, and we will have the points math updated in real time as the draw comes out. Here is the unsentimental version of this. Eala currently sits at 1,285 ranking points. The current number 30 on the WTA Tour requires roughly 1,450 points to hold that position. She needs a net gain of approximately 165 points before Roland Garros begins on May 24. In Madrid, a WTA 1000, she defended almost nothing from 2025. Making only the round of 64 last year. That means nearly every point she earns in Madrid is pure gain. A quarterfinal finish at Madrid produces 215 points. That alone would push her back inside the top 30 before Roland Garros. A round of 16 produces 120 points. Not enough on its own, but enough to give Rome something to build on. The problem is that Madrid's entry list includes Sabalenka, Gauff, Swiatek, Rybakina, and every player who has beaten Eala in the last 8 weeks. The draw will matter. Her seeding will matter. And her first serve percentage on clay will matter more than either of those things. Rome runs May 5 to 17 and offers the same 1,000-point structure with a similarly loaded field. If Eala reaches the quarterfinals of both Madrid and Rome combined, 430 points, she would arrive at Roland Garros ranked somewhere between 25 and 30. That is the ceiling scenario. The floor scenario, early exits in both, and she enters Roland Garros outside the top 40 with a first-round draw that could bring a top 20 opponent on a surface where her win rate sits at 40%. The next 3 stops define the next 3 months. Madrid is the pressure test. Eala needs wins, not just participation points. 1 win gets her momentum. 2 wins gets her to the second week of a WTA 1000, a place she has only reached once on clay. 3 wins and she is in a quarterfinal that changes everything. The minimum useful result in Madrid is a round of 32 exit, which earns 60 points and keeps the Rome scenario alive. Rome is the form tournament. By the time Rome starts on May 5, Eala will have played at least 2 clay events and will have match sharpness that was clearly missing in Stuttgart. Her pattern across hard courts this year showed that she needs 2 or 3 matches before her first strike game clicks into rhythm. Rome gives her that runway, assuming she converts it. Roland Garros is the target, but arriving there ranked inside the top 30 matters for more than optics. Seedings are set at the Grand Slam level based on ranking. A top 32 seed means Eala cannot face a top 32 player until the 3rd round. An unseeded entry means the draw can place her against a top 10 opponent in round 1. The difference between those 2 scenarios is the difference between a potential second week and a first-round exit. 165 points separate those outcomes. That is 1 Madrid quarterfinal. This channel covers the global tennis story behind the ranking number. Eala became the first Filipino to crack the WTA top 30. She is now ranked 44th. The path back runs through Madrid, Rome, and a clay surface where her documented win rate is 40% at WTA level. We will track every point between now and Roland Garros. Next video, we break down the Madrid draw, map her most dangerous possible opponents in rounds 1 and 2, and build the exact point scenario she needs round by round. The question we want you to answer in the comments: does Eala reach the Madrid quarterfinal? Yes or no? And what happens to her Roland Garros seed if she does?